up, everybody? Welcome back to the Standard 81 podcast. My name is Sincere, and I am back with you again for another video. But before we get into this, let's go ahead and take that quick 30-second break, and I'll be back with you here in 3, 2, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. If you could do me a quick favor, go ahead and hit that like button for me. I'd greatly appreciate it. Or hit that dislike. Either way it goes, it requires engagement. As well as share this with anybody you feel needs to hear the messages that I put out, or the things that I have to say. I know there's not any editing to these things, but I like to get real-time takes. And on top of that, I'm not very good at editing. I'm not going to sit there and hold you. And to be perfectly honest with you, editing is a lot. Just there's certain things at this point I just don't have time, nor do I want to do. So I'm just being real with you guys. Anyways, as well as subscribe if you haven't already. I greatly appreciate it. Comment down below and let me know what you think about the content. And let's get into today's. Today's topic is materialism is killing us. Once again, materialism is killing us. What do I mean by that? Well, in today's day and age, there is seeming to be a lot of focus on what people have and what people do not have, right? Which can lead into a lot of different theories in a lot of different arenas, right? Even all the way into politics, which I don't like to get into politics because it's really not my field. I tend to talk more about relationships, and not that I am astutely studied or have a degree in relationships, but I've read enough books and I've seen enough and I know enough at this point to think that I have some type of expertise when it comes to that, and give a fair and balanced opinion based upon my faith and things that I have seen. Anyways, materialism. The thing about it is, there is nothing wrong with wanting nice things. Once again, let me say this. There is nothing wrong with wanting nice things. I myself like nice things. I myself am one who purchases nice things. I tend to admire people that have nice things. But here's where we have gone left in society. And now it's more prominent than it was in centuries and days before. We tend to judge people by the things that they have versus the content of their character. And I know what you're about to say, sincerely. Honestly, in the world prior to the middle class, there were only two classes. There were the subset of people who were rich and well-to-do, and there was the poor. And this is where I say it can even be political, because if you look at how political parties are positioning themselves, they're either positioning themselves for there to be socialism, or They're positioning themselves uh, to continue the way things have evolved. Now, of course, history is bound to repeat itself. Even the Bible says that there is nothing new under the sun. Everything that has been done is already everything that is done has already been done. It's just that the people that are living in the day and age in which things are being done may have never seen it before, so it seems new. Socialism is nothing new. It's just it's just taking an elite class and dividing themselves. See, all the stuff that we tend to talk about, and I know I'm going off trail of materialism, but I think this is important and it ties in all the things that we are doing right now, racism and all these other isms and schisms, is really just compounded into that one thing, socialism. Because honestly, it boils down to the elite of the world only wanting to have us be in two classes. Either you're rich, meaning you're up there with us, and when I say rich, I'm not talking about a high paying job where you can afford to live either excessively above your means or slightly above your means. I mean, you have money on top of money. I mean, you have generational wealth. I mean, you have money that seemingly after you're dead will still continue to be there unless something of cataclysmic disaster, some kind of cataclysmic disaster happens, or your family is just stupid and squanders everything you got, which is something that can happen. But to go back to materialism, this is what happens when people focus in on what it is they can gain. When you focus in on the having of things, and accumulate that to the value of a person, ultimately this is the type of stuff you're going to start looking into, or at least start going down that road. And my whole thing in this particular stream is just to make you aware of it and maybe give you a pointer or two on how to avoid it in your life and in the lives of those you love. Because once again, I will say there is nothing wrong with having nice things, acquiring nice things, or liking nice things. But there is something wrong with materialism. So let's get into this a little further. First things first, let's look up the word materialism because I am a big proponent of words. Words have meaning. And when you know the full context of a word, then you can better familiarize yourself and begin to really assess whether or not you fit into that particular set or groupings of people, places, or things, right? Those nouns or those adjectives or those verbs or whatever the case may be. So in this particular case, the word materialism is a noun that the meaning of it is this: a theory that physically matters and is only fundamental in reality or the processes of phenomenal manifestations. That's the first definition. The second one, a this must really be getting to somebody because all of a sudden I got full bars and all of a sudden I'm having technical issues. Anyways, a doctrine that is only about the highest value or the highest objective of well-being and furtherance of material progress. Third definition, a doctrine of social or economic change caused by the materials in which you can possess. That's the definition of materialism. And if that is not a great definition for what is happening today, I don't know what is. Because our whole concept of life in today's modern age is about what you have and what you have not. I know you probably heard this before, but there's a difference between the rich and the poor, right? Oftentimes the rich will try to disguise the fact that they have immense wealth and try to disguise themselves as looking common or everyday, but there they have. But the poor tend to want to draw the image of them being rich. And I think a lot of this has to do with the mindset of people. If you're a have not, right? To you, the gaining of things is important because it shows some kind of value to other people and to yourself, which is not inherently bad. But when you allow that to be the measure of you, then it becomes something else. Then it becomes materialism. And oftentimes it makes it hard for you to see what is beyond the things you possess, or what is beyond what you can accumulate or acquire. See, the thing is, people think that people like myself and many others who may be believers or may see things in a different lives, in a different light, they think we're against the having of nice things. They think we're against uh, people wanting to prosper. No, we're not. But we want you to put these things in its proper place. See, if you are somebody that says, I value life, but honestly, you just value lifestyle, then that's two different things. Would you still want to live if you couldn't live the lifestyle you wanted? Or would you inherently say, I want to be away from this earth because you can't get the things that you possess? You can't get the things that you would like to possess. And if your answer is the latter, then that's a problem. That is a problem. And your focus is on the wrong stuff. It's on things that eventually are going to fade. So what's the prime example I can give of this? Money. The Bible says this: the love of money is the root of all evil. But too many people focus in on, yeah, see, you heard what he just said. Money is the root of all evil. No, 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 no. Listen to what I'm saying and put it in proper context. The love of money is the root of all evil. Money in and of itself is a tool. And it can and can be a measurement of value. But when you love money, oftentimes, or when you love materials, oftentimes, you can be persuaded, fooled, and even manipulated into doing things that you shouldn't do, into doing stuff that you wouldn't even dare think about if it wasn't for those things or that money. I'm going to give you, for instance, and I know the ladies are probably going to hate me for this because you're like, oh, Cecilia, you always use ladies. But I don't know too many men stories. So, ladies, if you have some stories about men, give me some because I'm not opposed to talking about men either. But, anyways, there are plenty of stories out there about beautiful women who will fly over to foreign countries and allow their bodies and their allow their bodies to be defiled by rich men. Some of them going as far as to be human porta potties for these men for the love of money, for monetary gain, for the stuff that they can, and they'll come on and tell you I'm balling and I'm doing all this. Meanwhile, you may respect them, but they cannot win the respect of their peers, their family, or anybody else, because they know if they were to tell them what it is they actually do, they would be ashamed. Why would you do that? I don't know if you've seen the brother and sister, um, where the brother is a little younger and the sister is a highly educated woman. These are Caucasian um, people, I think. I don't know whether or not they're Caucasian is irrelevant. But the brother is always telling the sister, "Why do you do the things that you do?" And this woman is an OF model, but yet she's graduated from Yale, which is one of the prestigious, which is one of the most prestigious universities in the world, or at least here in the States. How is it you have a degree that can make you a valued member of society by the things that you do, and yet you choose to endorse and engage in a lifestyle that will set you down a wrong track? Well, I'll tell you how. Materialism. Materialism. And you say, sincere, what does that have to do with the materialism? Clout brings status. Status brings then things that you would always want, whether it be a man, whether it be a car, whether it be money, whether it be a perceived image, whatever you think, whatever it is you think you want, all of a sudden is now in your grasp because you now have the things that you now have the status in order to be able to accumulate those things. And that's the thing about it. We are not sitting here, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that you shouldn't desire to want to accomplish things in your life, but what is it you wanting to accomplish things for? What is it that you're chasing? In the end, it all matters less. It all comes to nothing. Now, as you guys know, I'm a Christian, and I always like to tie things back to the Bible and back to relationship with Christ. So if you don't like it, just don't watch. I'm just being honest with you. Don't watch, because I'm always going to talk about it. It's He is my lifestyle. Christ is my lifestyle. And I just finished reading through Ecclesiastes a couple of days ago, but I went back to it for this particular video. And in Ecclesiastes 2, Solomon, King Solomon, who was one of the richest, who is the quote unquote richest man who ever lived in history. Richest man who ever lived in history. To this day, historians and economic people say there's nobody who was as rich as him. Then goes off and talks about some of the things that we now are trying to accomplish and how we can get caught up in materialism. Let me read this for you. Ecclesiastes chapter 2, it says, the, the futility of pleasure. And this is verse 1. And it says, I said to myself, come, let's try pleasure. Let's look for the good in life. And I found it to be meaningless. I'm going to skip verse 2 and I am going to jump down uh, to verse 4. And it says, I also tried finding meaning in building huge homes for myself, planting vineyards. I made gardens and parks and filled them with fruit trees. I built reservoirs and collected water and irrigation so that they may flourish and grow. I bought people, both men and women, and others who were born into my household. I owned I owned large herds, flocks, and more than any other king that had ever lived in Jerusalem before me. Verse 8, I collected great sums of silver and gold, the treasure of many kings and providence. I hired wonderful singers, both men and women. I had many concubines, everything a man could desire. So I became great. This is verse 9. So I became great to all who lived in Jerusalem before me. And nevertheless, my wisdom never left me. Here we go. I'm getting to the end of this. Nothing that I nothing that I wanted, I denied myself. No pleasure whatsoever. I even found great pleasure in hard work and all the fruits of my labor. But after I looked at everything I had worked so hard to accomplish, it was all so meaningless, like chasing the wind. There was nothing really worthwhile anywhere. And I ended it on verse 11. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, that was the richest man in history. And he did it as an experiment. He ain't just because at that point he had already had all he needed. He was in abundance, but he was like, "Look, I'm going to do a little experiment because I can afford to do this." And he did it all. He got everything that the world could possibly offer him in the time that he lived. And in his conclusion, even though he said, "Hey, listen, all this was good. I thought it was great. I found solace in the hard work that I did. I found pleasure in the stuff that I ventured to do. But at the end of the day, it was still meaningless because there wasn't any fulfillment." And I think that's the point I want to hone in on. When you're chasing after materialism, just like I said when I streamed about happiness, you're chasing after something or a feeling that is fleeting. Because for everything you accumulate, you get this hit of dopamine, or you get this rush of adrenaline, and you feel some type of way about it. And you continue to do these things in hopes that it's going to bring some type of fulfillment to your life. But honestly, materials will never bring fulfillment. Never. Ask anybody who has spent their life chasing it. Here's a prime example, and I know, once again, ladies, tell me some example of men. There was a lady who was extremely successful. She was in the broadcasting space, right? She had done journalism. She had traveled the world, got all this stuff, right? And then she gets to a point in her life where she wants to have children. And she realizes she can't have them naturally because she's already tried and it failed. And you know what she finally does? God only knows what's happening now. I hope the child is being raised decently. She says all that she has, everything she's got, moves in with her parents wherever they live and adopts a little boy so that she can have the fulfillment of raising a child. Materialism. Just another check. She check marked everything else, and now here's another check. But you see what materialism will make you do? You're always chasing the next. You're always chasing the next. You're always chasing the next. And you're willing to go to extremes in order to get to that next. So I know what y'all are probably saying. Sincere, I hear what you're saying, and I get it. But what is the key? Well, of course, you know, number one is find fulfillment in Christ. Paul said, whether I am in a great abundance or I have nothing, I have learned to be content. Can we say the same? For most of us, it's no. I am learning it now, but prior to now, I would have to, I would even say to myself, no, because there were goals and things that I was chasing. There are desires that I was chasing, and I was putting that way above knowing who God was, knowing who my maker was. But outside of that, what would you say is another thing? I would say that was probably the number one and probably the most important. But I'll tell you this, stop being self-centered. See, materialism only comes when materialism can only grasp a hold of you when you focus in on yourself too much. When you are constantly focusing on your needs and what you want, that's when materialism can grab a hold of you. Stop worrying. Stop worrying about what people have. The Bible even says this. One of the Ten Commandments is "Thou shalt not covet." I think it's either the second to last one or it is the last one of the Ten Commandments. Why does God say that? Because if you sit there and you look at what everybody else has, it's ultimately going to drive you down the road of materialism, and it's going to cause you either A, to try to take what is not yours, or B, it's going to drive you to do stuff that you shouldn't be doing in order to prove to another person that you that person. Have you ever got a new car and thought to yourself, ooh, when such and such sees me in this, you know, and initially they do. They might be like, oh yeah, wow, that's nice, and ooh. But when you keep on pulling up in that same car, there's not that same excitement because they've already seen it. And what you got to keep on doing is pulling in different cars and exciting them. And their excitement becomes your excitement. But neither one of you are never fulfilled. So the three things I would say that's going to help me cure materialism. Number one, stop worrying about what people got. And I say in this order, and I'm going to say the last one. of most importance. Stop worrying about what people have. Stop trying to keep up with everybody. 2, stop being so selfish. And 3, get in connection with your creator. Get in connection with God, man. Because you need that. Not only do you need that, that's what your heart really desires. The treasures of this earth are going to pass away. And eventually, all you're going to be left with is the choices you made in this life. And that's all I'm going to say. Anyways, check out the Standard 81 podcast over there on TikTok. I got plenty of videos up there. As well as check out the Instagram at Sincere the Artist. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Much love to you all. Peace.